international woman. That I have a culture about me, just in the way I move and the way that my facial features will respond to things without saying one word. I was identified. So this is wonderful. Sarah, you came in
Yes.
and I saw Needy, you smiled at one point. I just want to hear I heard Sarah's voice. So hello, Sarah.
Hello.
And how about Needy? Can we hear you?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. This is such an honor. I received messages from other people. They are involved in important things. One is getting surgery right now. Wasn't able, it's a minor surgery, but I still want it to go well for them. They want to come on a different Wednesday. Another is meeting with a group that is working on aging in their region, and it is during this hour that they are meeting. She could not miss out on that one. And one person just said, I have to teach my class. Several people are educators. So, India, Malaysia, Texas, Florida, and Oregon are represented
Oh,
in this day right now. All women. I have to admit, I was unaware or I had lost track that there was anything called an International Women's Day. Researching it, I find out that it has been more in the forefront in different countries or with different societies for quite a while. So if we could just go around just once to everyone, and I will start with Sandra. Is it Sandra or
hi.
Sandra?
You're Sandra, yeah. So pleased to meet you, everybody. Sorry for the
Sandra.
delay.
Oh, never. It is always fine to jump in and jump out. I've had people show up that they said, I have a client and they need me immediately. They literally came back on a different Wednesday. And I'm just so happy to see you all right
I'm
now.
happy actually to get the technology myself without any help. Everything had to be downloaded in about 10 minutes ago. And I'm in
That
my
is a
mum's house. My
that is
mum's
a
in Alzheimer's,
celebration.
and so she's down below. So we may be interrupted, but we'll see how we go.
That's important. Family first, please. Taking care of yourself, please. And you just embodied, Sandra, you just embodied the United Nations declared this all, digit all for women who are underserved around the world or are denied access to technology. Obviously, it's making a difference in all of your lives right now, and anyone who will be able to see this live or in replay. So, thank you so much. I'm going to start with, I believe, Rosalind. Yes, you were already in a conversation with my husband who is making this whole thing happen. And I'm so grateful to him each time. Hey, we're about to see a message from Bruce Carnahan, the guy in the blue shirt who really champions women. He is outward about go girl, go, be you in a big way. So um and I know he's coming in and he knows how late or early it is for Furlan because they are associated. So Rosalind, International Women's Day, did that come out of the blue or have you been aware of it for years?
I have not been aware of it for years. I think last year was probably the first time when you asked me to come on. I said, "Oh, this would be interesting." Having a group of women and just talking about, what what can we do? And I was just in the chat room or with your husband, and we were talking about uh, the the managing director for the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, was on CNN today, this morning, and she was saying that gender equality is good for economics. It can raise the GDP, by 20%. That's really big. And when I work with female clients, and just before coming on, I was trying to negotiate an offer, and the offer came in really low, and we were just talking. It's not even competitive. Would this be the same if you were a man? Would we be doing this number or this game if you were a man? And if that were the case, you're still going to be doing the dance. So why not? Why not, champion for yourself? Because if we don't do it, who else is going to do it for us? So that was the conversation we were having backstage, that if we don't fight for that equality in pay, it was one of my thesis, that we are just going to be left behind, and we can't do that. We're intertwined in the economics of the world, and just looking at, we really have progressed, but we still have a long way to go.
Excellent. Victoria. So that was Florida. Now, oh my, the sun is coming out. I'm going to be glowing on the screen. We won't worry about it. We actually had snow this morning, which is a little bit unusual.
Wow.
And we've had it several times. And here it is, March 8th. Victoria, I have seen you. I have been encouraged by you. You have championed me. And I felt like there she is, that quiet, steady, faithful. And here you are on screen.
Yes.
Did you get nervous, or it was like, it's about time?
Well, this is, I think, the last year or so stepping out of my comfort zone. And in the year 2020, I got introduced to LinkedIn and some people, and one person I followed, he had a lot of shows, and he kept wanting me to come on, and I was like deathly afraid, even doing my own posts, deathly afraid. And so I've now been doing a lot more of that, since I've begun my second career as a health coach. And I've done some training, on Zoom and leading it, so this was the first time when you asked me, it's the first time I come on, and it felt natural. So for me, it's stepping out, doing something for the first time. But with all of these ladies and the people that I follow that you have on your show, they basically are talking right into my wheelhouse right now, with my health coaching. And of course, I'm an aging person, um, and I just love that, as I mentioned in your post, aging is just a number. And I'm encouraged by people who are starting second careers after retiring, like me, So again, when we talk about International Women's Day, I feel like women, we're now coming out on our own, I think, worldwide. We have much more in common than we have differences. And when you talk about earning power, we may not have the earning power, but we have the spending power. We may be spending our husband's money or whoever. And when it comes to the economics, they tend to forget who's really spending that money, and so as we begin to make more money, I think that we'll be able to gain more power. But I think around the world, we're beginning to come together. And that's really what's needed, I think, to make so many changes, in different countries, So we just really have to stick together.
Excellent. I'm actually going to jump to Sandra, because I know what it's like to think that you're going to complete something, and then someone, it really is enhanced, they're enriched, and they're also kept safe and they are assured by your presence, because for many years I was an in-home caregiver. And so Sandra and I became connected. I'm going to have to follow back through to see even how we met each other. Was I bothering her in some chat
No,
column
definitely.
somewhere? Did I find what she does? But just in case, there is another woman that we can't see right now, and she is a valuable human being. She is worthy of being honored, and she also she has assistance needs, as we all do, for digital needs. We have someone champion me and tell me that I can come on screen and it's going to be okay needs. And so, Sandra, you need to be told that you are a fantastic, sparkling human being. And thank you for being with your own mother that you mentioned when you came on. So International Women's Day, is this familiar to you? Do you know all about it? What
I
do you
think
have to say on that?
once when I got involved in Women in Business, which was about 5-6 years ago, that was the very first time that I had met such an empowering group of women. And I had an idea for a business which was using objects from the past to trigger long-term memory with people living with dementia, and just elderly people, and to connect and empower. Because if you're talking about something that's familiar to you, you're automatically engaged and you're empowered. So therefore, you know the subject because it's your subject. It's person-centered. So I had this idea anyway, and they thought it was a great idea, and so they helped me initially get a limited company, and then and eventually take the plunge. So I'm one of these people, and I don't know if it's a female thing or what. It's not perfection because I'm not a perfectionist, but you want to trial out what you want to preach what you teach, or teach what you preach, I think is our Irish expression. So I wanted to physically see if it worked. I didn't want to go into something. So I went into a lot of care homes, and I was very saddened to find people sitting round a television. No one had the remote and nobody was talking. And yet this was before COVID. So everybody was quite close. There was no conversation. There may be people shouting to go to the toilet if they saw a staff. So I found that was very sad. So I asked the staff, would they bring people to a room? I would set up tables and put objects on it. And they looked at me as if I had 5 heads. So anyway, I did that. I brought in lots of, I got them gathered into a room. It was voluntarily at start. And I put objects from my grandmother's garage and stuff, on the table. And immediately somebody lifted an old riding hat, put it on her head, and said she used to ride horses. 2 men lifted golf carts, and 2 farmers lifted rural implements. And all of a sudden there was connection in the room. And I was learning about the people through the objects they'd lifted and through asking questions. And they were asking each other questions. And no one needed the bathroom for a full hour. There wasn't even one hand went up. So all of a sudden they were stimulated. They were engaged. Even if they were quiet and didn't have voices, they could observe because they had the sight, and they could smell the carbolic soap and different things. So or they could hear, they could hear the school bell, or talk about, they were elderly, so talk about carpet beaters and spin tops and things like these things like for butter pats, so a lot of the rural people would have had butter pats, and they would have made these would have been for the wee designs on the butter, and even patterns. The women would have had old patterns, so skipping ropes made out of. We have a big mill. A lot of people that worked in the mills years ago, and the skipping rope, which would have been used in a school playground, was made out of bobbins and rope. So all of a sudden, you've got one object, but you've got skipping songs, which you can engage people. One man yesterday said, "I'll give you a good skipping song. I just wanted to skip school." So then you get the men involved, because I always, if I don't know a group at all and they say you pick the subject, I'll pick school, because most of us, certainly in the Western, have been to school, and there is a connection whether you didn't like it or not. And some people, believe it or not, wrote on slates and chalk, two-bedroom school or two-room schools. So I started to gather stories and learn lots about each other, different people and different backgrounds. And so if I go to a rural community, I've got rural stories. If I go to a city, if I go to somewhere there's been a lot of troubles, I'm not afraid. In Northern Ireland, we have, sadly, it's not always peaceful. We have different communities, but I can go into any community. And I think a lot of my training many, many years ago, I worked for a company called Mars Confectionery, and I was the only girl. So I used to hear lots of stories in all the newsagents. I think I called in 25 newsagents all around Ireland today. So, yeah, so I think for me, the uplift and the benefit is engaging people to feel valued and worthwhile. And if they have in speech, they've got sight, and they've got touch and they've sensory. And just in what I brought animals in, I brought goats in, I brought sheep in to a blind lady. I've done so many things just to create a reaction or an engagement, I think. And I think that's what really Remember When is about.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Misha Needhi, you are, and I'm going to let you say what you do, because I've already messed up with Sandra. She's in Ireland, not the UK. With Bruce, he kept saying that he came over from the UK. I thought he said Ukraine. That was a different week. Bruce is still being nice. I don't know if he's made any comments about, try to help Christine get this right. I'm just sitting here going, oh, this is so exciting. They're from around the planet. So Dr. Mishra, she started to comment when I was learning to be brave and come onto the screen and talk about my concepts of practicing ahead of time for how you plan to age, not end of life, all those decades before end of life. And she somehow found me and encouraged me. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have to go visit her. I should go with my friend the next time she and her husband go back to India, where they actually raised their kids when their kids were small. So I am so grateful. Anything that's being said today, plus if you have anything to say about International Women's Day in your region, just tell us what you do and what you've been thinking about.
Thank you, Christine. Seriously, it's like it's an honor to be here with all you lovely ladies. And uh, yeah, you are right that we actually met on LinkedIn, and I was always keenly observing you. Many times I didn't comment it also, but it's just that I was busy with few things, especially being a woman. It's like you have to be with kids, and I'm a full-time academician. So I'm basically a psychologist, and I have done my PhD in gerontology. For the past 15 years, I have been working in the area of gerontology, promoting healthy and productive aging. Caregiving is another topic on which you speak a lot. So this is another topic in which I am doing extensive research. So coming to International Women's Day, I feel that in India, if you ask any woman, any girl also, they all are aware of this because we strongly believe in this theme of women empowerment. There is so much of diversity here that if you look into different places, different regions of India, you will see some places are still fighting with the concept of equality. And recently, I am seeing that now the theme has moved from equality to equity. So, this is another thing on which some of the regions are still looking into. And along with that, there are many girl childs who are actually working on no, women empowerment. So maybe I think I have also somewhere it's instilled in me that I also wanted to no, make myself known for things which I wish to do. And gerontology is my passion. So definitely this has brought me so far. And right now I'm an academician, but earlier I worked as entrepreneur in the area of aging. I have done trainings in UN institutes, also projects in these areas. So aging is something which anywhere I see anyone talking about aging, no matter what age it is, I am just passionate, and I can't stop myself commenting. Sometimes I just feel that I'm just interrupting, and I'm just trying to take up all the attention, but I can't stop myself. So, and today, let me tell you, for this session also, Christine was very nice to tell me that the timing is very odd for you. But then I said, I understand, but then also I'm interested in meeting like minded people today. In this way, this is in true sense a celebration of International Women's Day for me. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. And to go from seeing tiny pictures to hearing you and hearing you say, I can't stop myself. Ferlin, she said two things that stood out in my mind and made me think I'm going to come around to Malaysia right now, because she talked about healthy aging, and she also, oh goodness, I've lost it. I've lost the other thing that she said, that the direct, oh, girl empowerment. So I'm going to ask you about your region, your culture, International Women's Day. Is this the first time you've ever heard of it? Have you known about it since you were young, etc., younger? Bless your heart for showing up. It is after 1 a.m. for Ferlin, and she doesn't even look like it.
Okay. I think first of all, I think today is very special because we are all gathered here, right? At different country, different region, different timing. Just imagine that life is a moment, and this is a actually special moment for all of us, right?
It really is.
Yeah. So talking about, just now I heard some story about aging, taking care of aging, dementia, even Dr. Misra talk about your specialist that you like, prop into aging, right? I think aging is not scary, but if aging is related to disease, and this is not something we want to, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I have been involved in the business for 15 years. And talking about ladies, right? I think it's about empowerment, women's empowerment. Because in my platform, there are many ladies involved here. But I think first of all, it's about we want to look good. We want to look young. We want to be healthy. We want to get pretty. So it all started. Maybe women have that desire, but because that we prop in, right, and we see that there's something that we can do to help people, and then from there, right, we can actually build a business. And basically my business is individual, they want to be better, and that is where we can actually create a financial solution to the family. So to me, I think that this International or Women's Day, right, I think it's a day that I have been known for a long time, and I always think that we are all very special. It's not just to celebrate on this day, okay, but it's an important day to be remembered. And in my platform, right, I think there are many ladies, right, they actually have the desire to fight for the family. They want to do the things for the family, that we have many roles to take, right? Being a mother, a daughter, a wife, and even though, that we have to take care of so many things, but I think financially independence is actually very important, So I have been involved in the business for 15 years, and I always preach about doing prevention, how can we age, gracefully, and then so that we can actually prolong our, not just want to prolong our lifespan, but we want to prolong our youth span. I think that is important because I see my own daddy have been passed away due to disease, and I see how he had been suffering. That was many years ago. So to me, right, I think taking care of ourselves is a big love for the family. So I'm thankful that I have right on this platform, and we have a proven technology that have been done research for 30 years. Okay, and we already have so many products, and I have been transformed a lot. Okay, with the product myself. Okay, so if you look at me, okay, I had my girl is already 21 years old.
Wow.
Oh.
So am I in a good condition?
So you've been practicing what you preach. As Sandra was saying, teach what you preach. Or,
Yeah, practice what you preach. Yeah.
Practice what you
practice
preach.
practice what you preach. So you have been practicing prevention
Yeah.
of disease, which you and I had a quick conversation with our fingers about how young is always thought of as healthy, and healthy is thought of as part of youth, and then aging and disease, people are like, well, of course it's going to happen. We know on an individual basis that isn't always true. There are certainly young people and even babies that have medical needs or are having something that's difficult on their bodies. And then there are people who are alive after 100 and go, I don't remember being sick a day in my life. And so you're using medical science to see how can we blur those lines into more health, preventative health, continued health, and not so much about how old are you or how old do you seem. That is all part of aspects of aging, in my opinion. It makes me rethink each time. It's like, what am I willing to do to continue to live the life that I choose, or continue to make contributions, or just to be a pleasant person to be around as I continue to age. So
Well, I think
that
it's
is just
important. I think it's
yeah.
important also that to actually understand about, aging. What solution can we give to people? So I have been very proud about my company doing this extensive research for 30 years. And now today we can actually target the source of aging and into our gene expression, So I'll be very happy to just share, if any one of you want to know more, because it's already appeared in Discovery Channel and they already talk about this science, So we already have products for people to using it, So I'm happy always to see that all my circle of friends, right, they are actually always getting younger and healthy.
Yay. Oh my goodness. So Dr. Kyle, I think I've done the loop so far. Each of you have had an opportunity to speak. I have you can't believe the number of people who said, have you reached out to her? Has she been on your she should come on. So there are a number of people that know you, Sarah, that sent me your way, and today worked out for you. I'm so grateful. Before I give you your opportunity, I'm just peeking here. Does anyone know Chris Hahn, who made some comments? Hi, ladies. Happy International Women's Day. Bruce, thank you for the kind and thoughtful wishes. So, Ferlin, is that your friend, Chris Hahn?
Yeah.
Oh,
You always
wonderful.
catch the link because I sent it just now about an hour ago before the live. Not sure whether she catch the link. I think probably that's why she is jumping in.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, of course. Oh, it's 122. That is worth the bragging about. And then someone called LinkedIn user gave a thumbs up while one of you were talking. So I know there are people listening that aren't even necessarily listening on the channel where I can see all of those. There it is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, mysterious person. So thank you so much for, really coming to the table and letting us know about yourselves and about this special day that we can celebrate all the time about women's empowerment, about how our contribution to the economy, which affects everyone, but that seems to be what I hear over and over again that I'm most excited about when someone says, I have found a group of people and they feel they have no options. They are women. They have been made vulnerable by no access to education, to technology, to
Healthcare.
rights, to health, everything. And we are making a path. We are creating an opportunity for them to see their purpose and that they will continue to link arm in arm with each other and go, there is purpose beyond I am female, therefore I can't, I don't, I'm not allowed, I'm not good at. I hope somebody helps
Else.
me, but instead this is me, my own, what we call bootstraps. I'm pulling up my own bootstraps and moving forward in my life. I get excited about those things. So Dr. Sarah, please, there's got to be a lot of reasons why people keep saying, have you got her on the show yet?
Oh, well, thank you. Those are such kind words. As we're talking about this, you ladies were talking from a clinical background, and I'm just going to go on. I'll come back to International Women's Day, but when we're talking about this idea of wellness, I have a PhD in kinesiology. So come to my involvement in senior living, predominantly from the exercise science and the movement side of it. And I think what is so cool when you kind of start to grow up a little bit, I think I'm growing up, I'm almost 44, and I feel like I'm in a completely different state of life. But you start to understand that longevity and vitality is about the continuum. And what many people see in a younger state is body, or especially from a women perspective, either body or vanity. But this idea of wellness and longevity is something that starts early on. And why we do it is not to fit in or to look better, but it absolutely is about physical and mental health and what that does for us cognitively and physically as we do age. And from an International Women's perspective, I've known about this day for a few years now, but I woke up this morning, or actually I went to dinner last night, and I have two boys that are 6 and 9. And my goal in life is always to help them understand that mom works as hard as dad works. We both do very different things. Monetarily, we're compensated differently. And trying to help them recognize, I hear, what I wrote about is that they go to the playground. It's like, oh, girls are slow. I'm faster than her. I'm stronger than her. They want to be stronger than me. They want to throw the ball harder than me. They want to score on me. And it's like this dominance of the just innate dominance. And so what I was, thinking through this morning when I was writing is we have such a responsibility to support each other and to band together, which I think we are doing really, really well, especially in the last 4 to 5 years as women, and celebrating successes, but to continue to make an impact on what we want from equality and equity, all of those things. We have to educate people around us. And a lot of times that's our family, right? Instilling these ideas that women are equal, not because it's the cool thing or it's a movement or it's a hashtag. And I always go back and tell them it's not about physical, it's not about ability, it's about mental, and how you can use all of these skills and traits and passions and knowledge to change the world and make it a better place. And, ideally you get paid to do that. So I was looking at it a little bit different. Usually I've reached out and it's, supporting a bunch of women. And it was, what can I do in my own life to make sure that it's not a movement, but it's everlasting.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That was such a personal perspective. And I've definitely, it's I was a classroom teacher as well as a caregiver. So that was the very first phase of my life, even before mothering and then becoming an hired in-home caregiver. And I haven't done it with family like Sandra. It just happened that way. I didn't even know what caregivers did because I didn't have that opportunity in the family. So what you're describing, I leveraged that. Okay, we're going to have a competition to see who gets to line up for recess first,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be girls against boys. Oh, it's instant. Everybody rises to the surface. Nobody goes, oh, I think the girls should win. I mean, if that isn't in the mind. And I just think, I feel like I did a few things wrong, that I continued a thought process in my earlier years that is so different now. And part of it today is men versus women. I put out a post going, that is just so linear. That's like boys, girls, boys, girls. There's always going to be a loser. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's not what it's about. When my husband has had supervisors, an authority over him that was female, he didn't change in how he responded. In fact, he was even asked that, how do you feel about having a woman as your boss? And it's like, I feel like I'm doing a good job at work. I feel, it isn't, different.
Different.
His mom was very much a part of his growing up years. And she had so much going on, helping people, helping in so many different ways. And I'm going off on this thing that I think that just helped him to realize, wow, this is an individual, and they have purpose and importance. And I'm intrigued by how their life is different than mine. He just had that mindset. He actually served in the military in South Korea and, met many different people there and was all ready for the excitement of meeting people and seeing life different. He wanted to serve somewhere else so that he could just experience life. So I feel like, in a way, his mentality and his mother made a difference. And Sarah, that's what I hear that you are doing for your 6 and your 9-year-old. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Christine, I was at doctor's
Yes.
surgery this morning, and I met a 3-year-old, and she had her little book of unicorns, and I said hello, and she came up and sat beside me. It was really actually wonderful, with her book. And I said, would you like me to read it? And she said, I'll read it to you. And then her mommy came over and she said, this little girl was so extrovert. She was really surgeon and absolutely beautiful. And her mother said, I have a little boy who's 5, and he is so reserved and so quiet. And this one's my risk taker, no fear of anybody, and just bubbly and whatever. And she was absolutely adorable. But it was the 3-year-old saying, I'll read it to you. And even though all the words weren't there, the story was there through the pictures. And it was just wonderful. So if that's the way the children are being raised now, with parents that are very good with nutrition and sport and movement and, the right products, whatever, and nutrition, I think we're going to go pretty well, And if we can be integrated that the right books that they're reading, that diversity is very much part of life, and that we are welcoming to all strangers and to look at everybody with love, I think we will move forward as a generation, particularly with the younger ones. I think
wonderful.
we learn so much, from the innocence of children and from the desire to connect. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
I love it. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Go at it. I'm just gonna.
The other thing was on the
I'm
way
gonna rehydrate here.
Yeah, there was a radio program, and it was about a community that are helping to educate and just learn, and different courses like cookery and all sorts for women that have come into Northern Ireland that couldn't speak any English. And so they'd got lots of diverse women together, and then they brought a radio presenter in today. And one lady, she was so grateful. She said, I came to this community to find my voice. And now, for the first time in my life, I am on the radio. And I just thought, wow, we are all listening to your voice. And she was so humble, and yet had done so many courses and was just trying to empower herself and improve her learning. But to be on a radio, and the girl actually said, Lynette Fay just said, so we all can hear your voice, and it's wonderful. So just tell us more about the Women's Centre and how you came here and whatever. So she was just, and we'll send you photographs, I think she said. So how lovely was that, you know, someone who just came not having a voice in English, but wanting to communicate, and then today to be on a radio and her voice being heard by anybody who's listening. Thought that was lovely.
You know, I think when I think about the age ranges of women, I happen to be lucky enough to live with my sons. We're in a house, a blended house. My youngest son bought a house big enough and asked me and my other son to come and live with him. So I get to see my grandchildren a lot more. And my grandson is 10 and my granddaughter is 8. And she is so much more outgoing. She is really the life of the party. And I try to impart with her, you know, I laugh at her when she says I'm old, okay? Or if I try to tell her things, I love when they ask, well, when you were young, you know. And I think we've missed for a long time, I think generations back, where you had blended families living together, generations of families living together, and you could have a grandparent or great grandparent, you know, teaching the younger ones, you know, the memories, the traditions get so lost when families are separated by distance, you know, or for whatever other reasons that they're just not communicating, you know. So I feel so blessed to be able to do that, so that, you know, when my time comes and I pass on, that she can remember, well, Grammy said this or Grammy said that, you know, and we may laugh about it, you know, and stuff like that. But I really wish there was more of that. And unfortunately, as we do have some folks who are going into some aging homes, and especially with dementia, that runs in my family, my mother, her mother. And honestly, for us trying to piece together our family history has been hard. You know, even like on Ancestry, we do a lot of guessing. I'm Puerto Rican, so there's a gap there between family in Puerto Rico, and we're doing a lot of guessing with names because names changed, you know, spellings and things like that. We didn't have that, my great grandmother, my grandmother passing down those histories and those stories, which is such a shame. So I'm leaving that, and I tell my kids, it's on Ancestry, it's there. And I try to show my grandchildren, but you know, their attention span is not, you know, that long to be able to look at the big tree and stuff like that, but it'll be there for them. And so I try to pass on verbally some of the stories about what I know about my family, because that is such a lost art, I think, you know, that,
Absolutely.
you know, that we all need to get back to, because if you don't know where you come from, you know, we're getting so diverse, and I think we all need to know, because we're all getting mixed. All the ethnicities are getting mixed, and we just need to kind of get each piece, you know, put together in perspective.
Absolutely. And I think linking the generations. There was a little boy on a program yesterday, and their school are visiting a residential home once a week, and they actually just said, and the elderly ladies are giving me advice, and it's very good advice, and I'm learning from it. So that, you know, so just
the
that
elderly ladies, I love it.
And what people can teach. Yeah, when you think of places like the Balinese and Bali, you know, when an extra layer just goes on the house, you know, and the whole family are together, and the grandmothers or great grandmothers can teach the basket weaving and all those lovely simple trades, you know, that are being missed, you know, and that the older generation had to use the washing board in Ireland to scrub the clothes and the carbolic soap, and didn't have the washing machines. And yet our generation says we've no time to sit and talk and communicate. And then I think that's what really I wanted to make a difference when I saw people needing to engage, that they were just sitting quietly and respectfully, as that generation would do, minding their own business, but not really talking. And they just needed a connection, a common denominator to open up. And when you hear some of the stories from some of these centenarians and people that are in the late 90s, they've been through, World War and troubles, and particularly in Ireland, and one lady, 2 world wars, change of currency, all sorts of things, and so much change. And yet the wisdom that's there, and the life stories there, and the resilience that are there with the aging generation is exceptional. And I think, I think with International Women's Day, you have to look at some of the lives they led, and just how they did keep calm and carry on when their houses were burned out, or they were in the war and they lost loved ones, and just moved forward.
I've been trying to think about ways of preserving, like Victoria was saying, because we also are part of Puerto Rican, and I have 12 other or 14 other ethnicities. And so you really do want to preserve that. How do you do that? And a friend of mine was just saying, well, and in terms of cooking and all of that stuff, you don't really have these recipes. It's always been of the eye, well, you have to have a pinch of this and a pinch of that. And I go, okay, well, she goes, well, why don't you just videotape it? So you'll always have it, and you'll always be, she'll always be with you. And I'm just going, duh, I didn't even think about that. Why not, record the stories? Record the cooking, record all these things that, down the line, you'll have I have an 11-year-old, and he'll ask me, so, how did grandma was raised? And I said, yeah, it was dirt floors and, not much around. They had outhouses. It just was not like the way we have, toilets and all this stuff. So I think it's just catching that before it leaves our side.
There are lots of apps and lots of different. We're snowing actually. If I look outside, I've got snow in Ireland.
Wow.
So there are lots of different. There are different apps, and there's one called Aftercloud and there's different people that do life stories and whatever. What I do is, sometimes I don't want to ruin the moment, but I can silently hit the phone to record. And then there's the lovely man that I see every week, and he was a tenor, he's an Irish tenor voice, beautiful. And he'll sing All Is Well With My Soul with me. And I've recorded him and then sent that to his daughter, who doesn't live. And then if he tells me something, I can send her the video. So I don't put a lot of it in social media, but I put it with the people that matter, and to hear him still go into the harmony, sometimes maybe 3 in a small group, and I've started it, and he loves chocolate. So one lady actually opens the chocolate for him because he's not very good at that. And I said, no, don't let's sing. Now, don't be eating the chocolate when you're singing. But his voice is lovely, and I can just feel, the tears coming nearly, particularly with the word "All Is Well With My Soul." This 90-year-old singing and just incredible. And in his day, he must have been able to just hold the whole stage. So I'm very privileged. I'm never bored, and I always meet different people. And when you're talking about aging well, I'm very lucky in that when I'm working with maybe young onset dementia and they're still mobile, just to try and get out. Today I was out just in the sea air with a lady who's only 60, and just trying to keep her walking. And sometimes as there's different surfaces on the road, she stops, and I think, am I going to get you home? And lift the head up and eye contact and sing and get her started again. And just trying to keep that mobility there and that independence of mobility, for as long as we can, really.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to Dr. Kyle's story with her children. So just about a year and a half ago, my 11-year-old was in Taekwondo, and you have girls and boys in the same class. And, you have this part where you have to spar, and they would switch to each partner. So everyone had a chance to spar with everyone else. And every time he was with the girl, he would just kind of look at me like,
Is it okay?
I can't do that, and I go, it's part of the class. And he's like, and so she would hit, and she would hit hard. And so afterwards I said, so what happened there? And he goes, I can't hit a girl. It's like, I said, but it's class. It's okay. And he's like, no, that's just not, no. I said, that's why I just kind of just tap her. And I just go, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
He says, Mom, it's not right.
And I think it does put men in an interesting, or boys in an interesting part, because you would never hit your sister. I mean, your sister or family, and that's this, terrible thing to do. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. We can get to it in equality and
Right,
sport,
of course.
where that's going. And I think we have to find this balance of what equality is and how it looks in different facets and components of life, because it's not black and white.
No.
And it never will be, right? That's not human nature. That's not even evolution. We were never designed to be, I know some people will completely disagree with this, but if you just look at genetic makeup, we are different. And whatever that looks like and what we can do. And so I do think there has to be a tip. I think we'll hit a tipping point of what are those fundamental things where we respect and we honor those differences. And I think it makes, I would hope that as women, we don't have to prove ourselves in that way. Right. And so I think men kind of stepping down a little bit to let women step up, rather than trying to catapult ourselves to be like, I can do everything you can. I don't want to. I had to replace a battery the other day. I could do it. I don't want to do it. Right? I mean, I proved it to myself, but I'm like, so,
I wonder if that's why they moved away from equality to equity, because it is also not fair for me to challenge someone to a foot race when I know that they cannot do that with their legs. So that is not equality. It's, I won. It's like, well, I'm not able to run. So doesn't make sense. And I didn't research equity, but I'm just thinking that it's more about, I feel that for that person, that female that was mentioned, who said, I came here to have a voice. And if they were turned down from, it's like, this is highly unusual, because and I just don't see, if the words were, you shouldn't have this opportunity because you don't have an Adam's apple. Generally men are born, and when they reach a certain age, their voice cracks and ours doesn't. So, it's like, oh, well, dependent upon whether you have an Adam's apple or not, that's the criteria. So maybe the equity isn't so much, like, I like it that a boy doesn't want to hit a girl. I'm thinking that is also something that women are seen as more vulnerable, or as raised as, guys got to be rough with you. Sometimes you're going to have boyfriends that aren't happy with you. And it's like, no. No person deserves to be exploited or be put in a position of not being treated humanely. So you're right. The balancing act, in that post that I put out on LinkedIn, I said, it's like the solar system mobile that moves and is in motion, but it is always balanced. It changes, it's fluid, but it's always balanced, that, people, an individual should have an opportunity. Maybe that's going to be my finish there. Our time is right at the end. Dr. Mishra, Thank you so much. I don't know what you have to do tomorrow, but it is almost 11:30 at night, and I would not be awake then, let alone at almost 2 a.m. like Ferlin. So, Dr. Mishra, you said that you can't stay away from it. You're so passionate. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your life, and if you would like, how people can get a hold of you?
Um, to I think professionally, I said a lot. I'm a mother of two girls. My little one is 3 year old, and the elder one is around 7. And the funny part was when I was getting ready for this session, because as you know, it was 10:30, and post dinner I had to quickly finish off everything. And in India, it's a festival today, so it's a Holi, uh, a festival of colors. You all must be knowing that. So, so today for my girls, I took a leave from my office. I have to go tomorrow to take my lectures and continue with my research work. So while I was getting ready, she was very curious to ask me, "Why are you getting ready?" So at this 10:30, as so she was like little shocked. Mama never does such kind of things. I said, "I have a trip to US." So since and my husband went for a trip and he just returned at around 10 o'clock. So I said, since Papa is there now for with you, so I am thinking I'll take a break. So the little one got really upset with that and was really worried that Mama is leaving. Then the elder one said, no, no, it's just a session, right? Because in this COVID time, we all have got used to all these online sessions. So the funny part is, as you said, that to know more about me, I am passionate about my profession, teacher, a researcher, a gerontologist, psychologist, whatever you call me. At the same time, I am a mother to my two lovely girls, and I, on this International Women's Day, I want to take a pledge that I want to make them much more independent and want them to go ahead with their dreams. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I am available on LinkedIn. And also I used to run a initiative called Senior Express earlier, which was basically about promoting concept of healthy and productive aging. I used to share lovely stories exclusively from India, because Indians used to think initially that it's just a Western concept, the concept of healthy and productive aging. Lot of discussion which were happening here about how people are taking care of their children, or the how the grandparents are interacting. I have done a lot of research in this area as well, in the area of intergenerational bonding. So I'm keenly interested in this topic as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to me for any kind of research work or any type of collaborative work in terms of aging in any area, I'll be more than happy to collaborate on those topics. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to go back to Sarah because I saw she just unmuted herself, and I think she's got
Perfect.
something. Yeah.
I dual knew I have to hop in 2 minutes, but I just
Yes.
wanted to say thank you all. It was great talking with you and feeling supported and really celebrating this idea of international women. It's inspiring to see what everyone is doing, and I think challenges that we are so remiss on here in the U.S. of if we've had, well, it's not, I would never say easy. I think we don't understand how it could be so different, and just much respect and admiration for what you've shared, and how you, I think, are such the leaders and groundbreakers in what it is to really overcome. So much success and appreciation for all of you. Christine, thanks for having me, and have a wonderful day.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Rosalind, do you have to hop too?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to thank you all, an amazing panel of women doing something so extraordinary just each and every day. And there are two quotes that I'd like to leave with and I had to write them down because, of course, I can't remember. I can't remember much, but I wanted to say women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception. And that was Ruth Gator Ginsburg. And the last one is, I raise my voice not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. And that was Malala Yousafzai. So I leave you with that. Thank you so much. And all the best to all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Just to have something to say to everyone, I think as a woman, we need to learn to, first love ourselves, which is so important.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
here,
true.
to help all the women to take control on their own life. Can always stay young, stay good, looking good, and also, build a business for yourself so that you can control your own world. So you can reach out to me at LinkedIn, and my hashtag is there. So thank you for having me. And this special hour, there will be a wonderful moment of my life. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for challenging yourself in this way. And thank you to Chris Hahn, who also stayed up with you. How kind. Oh, wonderful. Victoria.
Well, thank you again for having me, and it was so great to meet all of you. I will be reaching out to you via LinkedIn since I love to connect, and wishing us all a happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, I have sent connection to every one of you. Let's connect
Yes.
after this.
Absolutely. I love it. I call it Friends Day Wednesday, even though it's Thursday already for you. Friends Day Wednesday starts with my husband's show with his buddy, Russ. They've been friends for years. We only live minutes apart. And they just love making friends with people. Ferlin was on there, as well as Bruce, who's been commenting. Thank you, Bruce. And Sandra, wow. Thank you to your
You're welcome.
sweet mama who has just been restful and fine
Yes, she's
during
been
all
really, really
this.
good. I think the
Oh.
carers actually came in and heated up
Oh.
some food for her there, so that was good. I didn't
Oh.
have to go, so that was good. But I know I have to go and collect my lovely dog because I live in Hillsborough, but I'm staying most nights with my mother, which is about 20 miles away here. And his dog walker is over in Hillsborough, and it's about to snow. So I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Years ago, I read a book by Mother Teresa, and she said, "Look at everybody with love." So
Yep.
leave you with love, okay? And happy Holi.
Thank you.
Yeah, my friend is from India, and she dressed me up in a sari for Diwali, and
Wow.
that was the first time I'd ever worn a proper sari, and we went round in the care home, and people loved the color because the colors. I think a lot of the mothers make the saris for their daughters for the wedding or whatever, and they just thought the color, the vibrancy was just amazing. So and keep color in your life. And thank you. Thank again, everybody. Sorry I have to dash. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with my technology. I didn't think I'd ever be on live. God bless everybody. Okay, bye.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, Needy, I'm so glad that your daughter's going to wake up and go, Mom, you came back. It was a quick trip and so worth it. I'm thrilled. I actually was not aware of International Women's Day until I read actually an email from a woman whose name is gone from me. I can see her face, but she has mobility because of her wheelchair, and she is happy on wheels. I know I'm going to think of this. Her name, good grief, where is it? And she was just talking about the month of March, and I love her emails. I love what she and her husband post, and their roof garden and things that happen. I will never forget her story of trying to get into the house with her drink and her wonderful, it was avocado toast. And the wind came up and everything flew out of her lap as she was trying to enter the house. And her husband's response of, well, where's you were supposed to pick up our breakfast. And and it's just like, I guess we're just going to have to laugh about it. I've got half a cup of drink. That's all that I could save. And, and I just think, oh my goodness, I heard about this from her because of her blog. And I thought, I wonder if there will be anyone in the world that would be willing to come here and look what happened. This is just thrilling. And all the people who couldn't, because they were also involved in very important things today. I'm so grateful. I'm just going to wave goodbye and say, see you next time, because I hope there will be. Bye-bye.
Bye.